The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for the leaders of both Israel and the terror group Hamas for war crimes. And CTV's Colton Prale joins us live with the latest. How significant is this move by the ICC, and how would they enforce it?
Jamie, it's an incredibly significant move, but the enforcement of it is a very big question. We'll touch on that first because it's important to understand the context in which all of this is operating in. The ICC has 124 member states, of which Canada is a part of, but crucially, Israel is not. Neither is Doha, Qatar, and neither is the U.S. And that means that right now there is no legal authority for the ICC to arrest any of the individuals whom they have applied for arrest warrants for, should those warrants be approved and go through. They do have jurisdiction in the state of Palestine, and in their application they say that extends to Gaza and the West Bank, but there are also some really high-level judicial questions around the extent of that. That's something that's being called into question by the U.S., and that could put a damper on these applications as to whether or not they really do have the authority and the jurisdiction to seek these arrest warrants. But should they be approved, should this go forward, they would not be able to carry out arrests where they don't have jurisdiction. Instead, the people who are under those arrest warrants could be arrested should they travel to any member states. That includes most of Europe. It includes Canada, for example. We've seen that with other people who are facing arrest warrants from the ICC. Vladimir Putin, for example, has changed some of his travel plans in the past so that he doesn't be arrested by one of those states. But Russia, not an entity, he's fine there, and as a result hasn't been arrested for months. So that's how this would play out if it gets approved. But why it's so significant is because of who these arrest warrants apply to. They apply to the military leaders of Hamas as well as the political leader of Hamas, and it applies to the Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Israel. And the application included both of those parties, or all five of those parties, in one application. And that's incredibly significant because it's the first time we're seeing a democratically elected Western ally facing potential charges from the International Criminal Court. It's significant because they're being put on the same level as the leaders of Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. And this is something that has really created a number of very significant outcries from international allies, be it the UK, be it the US, even in the response from Israel, from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. You see that focus on the fact that they are a democratic country and that this is in response to an attack that occurred on October 7th. You can hear how he describes what he calls a political outrage. Have a listen.
Outrageous decision by the ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, to seek arrest warrants against the democratically elected leaders of Israel is a moral outrage of historic proportions. It will cast an everlasting mark of shame on the International Court. Israel is waging a just war against Hamas, a genocidal terrorist organization that perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Mr. Khan also sets a dangerous precedent that undermines every democracy's right to defend itself against terror organizations.
And Jamie, what's important to note here is that democratic countries aren't prohibited from this type of arrest warrant. It's simply rare that we see it because very frequently, or very infrequently, do we find these occasions where an arrest warrant could be issued. But this is in response to the cries of a number of humanitarian aid organizations who say in the past the ICC has ignored war crimes or alleged war crimes committed by Israel in its conflict in the Middle East. And so this really is a very significant moment. It will still be quite some time before we know where it happens to go from here. These are applications for arrest warrants. They still have to be certified by 3 judges at the ICC, and even from there, there's no guarantee that it could be progress. It certainly won't stop the fighting, but it could have significant travel ramifications for the people involved. Jamie?
CTV's Colton Prale. We appreciate that report. Thank you.